Praise be the most holy name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, now and forever and ever. Amen. Do not fret because of the wicked. Do not envy those who do evil, for they wither quickly like a grass and fade like the green of the fields. This was Psalm 37. My beloved brothers and sisters, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. This is what our Lord Jesus Christ said in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 5. Today, we come with you with my special guest, Mr. Tom Harb, a great leader in the United States Lebanese American community, a consultant and an advisor for the Republican, I would say, party in Washington, D.C., and for all Congress members, as a matter of fact, and the founder of the American Lebanese Foundation that takes care of lobbying, advocating, educating American public and American Congress and American executive branch and the Pentagon about the situation in Lebanon. Khamenei is dead. Lebanon is anticipated to go under invasion. Hezbollah is responding to Israel. And Israel is not going to end this until they finish their job. And it is expected that even though United States and our president speak of no regime change in Iran, yet it seems that consequentially that the regime will be changed in Iran. The Sunni world is entering this war. Saudi Arabia already moved to Bahrain. Qatar already hit inside Iran. By the time we will broadcast this Irrevocable to you, things in the Middle East might be totally changing one more time, hour by hour. And therefore, today, we want to look at the significance in a particular way of what is going on in the Middle East and what is the message of Tom Harb to us in America and to the people in the Middle East. Without further delay, dear Tom, good holiday to you.
Good holiday as well, holiday to you. First, Father Andre, thank you for the invite. And thank you for being with you on this podcast to convey to the American people what's going on in the Middle East and give them some highlight. They might not see it in the media on short clips. And really, what's going on in the Middle East now, we've been dreaming to see it happening in a positive way for years. But the regime, the radical regime in Iran, been undermining any prosperity throughout the Middle East for quite some time. Therefore, it's a blessing under President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu to take on the action and destroy the evil within the regime in Iran, and eventually the evil within Hezbollah in Lebanon and any other terrorist organizations in Lebanon. Because when Moses tried to cross the Jordan River, and he looked into God and he wants to cross the river, and God said to him, now this land and the land north of Israel, it's for me, the land of God. And really that's where we believe Lebanon is part of the relationship with Israel and need to have a peace and prosperity again. And the Lebanese government had failed to do so for years, and it seems what United States, what President Trump launched into Iran and Israel now launching into Lebanon is to bring the peace needed and to eradicate the terrorist organizations, Hezbollah in Lebanon and other terrorist organizations still exist there.
Tom, two operations started on February 28th. It was a Sabbath day for the Jewish people. Christians are still living in a season of land preparing for Holy Easter, and the Muslim nations in the world, Sunnis and Shias, are in a holy season of Ramadan. And there is a significance in the names of the operation, whether in the fury that we in the United States or in a roaring lion, as Netanyahu called this operation. And I know that you started biblically giving significance to this operation or dual operation And I know that there has been some interpretation going back to Queen Esther, to the feast day of Purim, which the Jewish people celebrated on the 2nd and on the 3rd of March, when 1,000 years ago, before Jesus Christ, or few hundred years before Jesus Christ, at the time of Queen Esther, the minister under the king of the Persian land issued a statement basically to kill all the Jewish people and to annihilate them. And now you're saying that Lebanon also, in connection to Israel, has to recognize its biblical roots. Does the Muslim world, whether the Shia in Lebanon, the Sunnis in Lebanon, we're talking about 515 million people in the Middle East affected in this war. And we know there is an Abrahamic Accord. Do any of those people understand the connection that Israel, President Trump, and the Christian Council around the president, and you are trying to make in connection to this operation, or the biblical significance that you're trying to give?
Well, obviously, the Muslims don't take a look or looks at it this way. And the reason is for the Christians, when we read the Bible, we see two Testament and the New Testament. For the Muslims, they don't see the Christian book or the Old Testament. So they have a little bit more challenge. They need education to acknowledge that there are two other faces in the region, the Jews and the Christianity, and they need to live all together as the sons and daughters of Abraham. But unfortunately, it takes major crisis for the Muslims leaders in the Arab world to recognize that they have to live and with the Jews and with the Christians in the region. Now, for the first time since 1947, the other day, the Arab nations, and let's recognize, before the war started this past Saturday, the Arab war was stepped aside, and they were telling President Trump not to launch a war against Iran. So thank God he did not listen to them. And after the war started, the Iran regime started hitting so many Arab capitals. Within hours, all of these Arab capitals united with each other and denounced the action taken by the Iranian regime into the Arab nations. And they never mentioned the word of Israel, which was ironic because since 1947, any communique from the Arab nations, all the time they denounce Israel in the communique. This was the first time, historically, the first time they denounced another Muslim nation without denouncing Israel. So that gives you how the mentality in the Arab world shifted by this war when their capitals and where residential neighborhoods or hotels started being hit by the Iranian regime by missiles coming from Iran. And that was something special to recognize for the Arab nations. Now, let's move forward. The question is, we move forward in the next few days, and people are asking what's going to happen in Iran, how this war is going to end. And the Iranian defense system, air defense system, kind of non-existing from the first day. And the second thing, they still have the Navy and they still have the ballistic missiles. The Navy, day by day, it's being destroyed by the American ships in the region. And the Strait of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb, those are opened by under the control of the American ships now. So therefore, they cannot impact them much longer. So what left for the Iranian regime? The Iran regime left with some ballistic missiles. They have about 100 plus launching pads, and they're being destroyed day by day. And they have about between 2,000 to 3,000 missiles. So they've been launching about 300 to 400 missiles every day because they made a strategic mistake, included the Arab world. So they are spreading these missiles, launching them into the Arab world, including Israel, So in about 10, 15 days, they are going to run out of missiles. They might be making some, but not in the speed they are going to be launching. Therefore, their capacity of launching these missiles is going to be dwindling day by day. And the more attacks from the American and Israel, and today I heard maybe Saudi Arabia, Qatar also might join United States and Israel for the first time ever. There will
Qatar
be
already hit inside Iran, by the way. Qatar already hit inside Iran.
Okay, so it means for the first time ever since 1947, Arab army and Israel army working hand in hand, hitting another Muslim nation such as Iran. So from that angle by itself, I think the war is going to be over within 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then you're going to have the remnants of the Iranian regime still around. But what I will see the American army, the American Air Force hitting the intelligence services communicate between the IRGC, those the most radical, and the siege groups, those are the oppressive police inside Iran. And then when they destroy these two, then the people will feel free, and then they start taking over TV stations, over radio stations, and over institutions, little by little. And when they feel comfortable, now the people inside Iran, they don't feel that comfortable yet. Maybe another week we will see a different picture start coming out of Iran when the people feel safer.
Well, I have a few questions to ask you to clarify to our American brothers and sisters who are, first of all, worried that the agenda, America First, is changing. Two, as Christians, as Shia people, as Sunni people, the Druze people in Lebanon, Lebanon that is made of conventional democracy, of 17 different confessions coming together. Now there are worries and serious fears that it either will descend into a civil war or begin a new chapter of economic growth and prosperity. And the people here also, we are heading towards election in next November, a midterm. And a lot of people in the president movement are disagreeing with the principle of the war against Iran, but definitely they have no probably perspective on who is Iran in terms of its access to terrorism, narcotics, human trafficking, sex trafficking, the corruption that is made in the world. How do you plead the case if you're to justify or to improve on President Trump's stand? And is it really about a preemptive attack, basically, an operation, because Iran was going to hit and they do have a nuclear bomb? I would like your thoughts, how to clarify these things one step at a time for our friends in America.
There are two answers. One regarding the American position, and the second one regarding Lebanon in specific. So for the American audience, President Trump took the right action. He is trying to preemptive what was coming to us in a big way. Steve Witkoff, the special envoy for President Trump, discussed in a couple of days. He said, when we start the negotiations with the Iranians, and President Trump gave us plenty, 5 negotiations before last June 2025, 12 days war, and then recently multiple meetings. But he said the Iranians told us we have 460 kilograms of atomic material. We could do 11 bombs, and nobody is going to tell us when and how we're going to do it. So the Iranians came not for negotiations. The Iranian came to tell us, no matter what we think, they are going to proceed with their atomic program. So the American people need to understand that theocracy regimes, they believe they don't appreciate life. They appreciate death more than they appreciate life. We live here in the Western world for our kids, grandkids, generations to prosper, to be innovative, to go out and do best for the whole world. And theocracy based on Islamic teaching that the death in the name of Allah is the best way a person could come to this life. So they could kill kids at the age of 5, use them as bombers. Or suicide bombers, or the age of 15 or 20, and they tell these kids this is the pleasure of life. This is the extreme pleasure of life, is to sacrifice in the name of Allah. And that's the problem. That's why we don't understand these regimes very well. So President Trump and J.D. Vance and all of these people understood it very, very clearly. The Israelis, they understood it. And the whole world, kind of the majority understand it. But here, the domestic politics, like the MAGA movement, some of the MAGA movements they are against the war because President Trump said, I'm not going to war, but I'm not going to start a war. That's true if the regime had accepted a reasonable solution, but the regime in Iran rejected every reasonable solution under the pretext that Trump is anti-war and he's not going to launch a war. And now the left in the United States, all of them, they want to get rid of the regime. They know how bad the regime, but they think by sending them flowers, the regime is going to accept as a goodwill and they're going to yield. And that regime is not going to yield. So I think the president took the right action. Those people in the MAGA movement, they still who oppose President Trump's position, they don't understand the severity of these theocratic regimes, and the elimination of this regime, it will make United States safer from Iran in the next 50 or 100 years or even longer
Tom,
to come.
the president take in consideration and his team, we're talking a religious basin of the cradle of civilizations, the cradle of the monotheistic religions in the Middle East. There is a problem of racism. You know that we call it al-shu'ubiyya, between the Persian race and the Arab race. And there is also a major fundamental religious problem of the murder of Hassan and al-Hussein, the children of Ali bin Abi Talib in 670, 680 AD, little bit after the Prophet Muhammad, the problem of Muawiyah and Aisha. We know that there is 10% of the Muslims are Shia, about 300 million. The rest of them are Sunni Muslims, about 1,750,000,000. About 515 of them are in this basin in the Middle East, suffering or living or interacting with these consequences. Now take this to Lebanon. The Shias are a majority in Lebanon, not anymore a minority. We have 2.5 million Syrian refugees, predominantly 95% of them are Sunni Muslims, and they still did not go back inside Syria. You have a dwindling down number of Christians in the Middle East. How is this war gonna affect this makeup and not become a religious war? Because in your terms from the beginning and the way you're explaining it and the way the administration is also obviously aware of it, there is a religious risk in this. How is this going to end up being good? How are they going to contain that this is not going to spill to a Shia-Sunni conflict, which will affect the entire world, as a matter of fact, especially that the Vatican is against it, it seems. It seems.
Yeah, inside Iran, in 1963, the Shah of Iran issued an order and law to make all religion are equal inside Iran and the women and men to have the same right. The day he issued that order and became law, that's the Khomeini's movement started. Because those Islamists who they claim they are Persians, no, they are not. The Persian people, if you talk to any Iranian American today in the United States, they hate the mullah's regime. They hate these religions. So therefore, they say they have nothing to do with the Persians. They claim our identity, but they are far away from our identity. So therefore, when we say, well, Iran, they are Persians and they are smart, they know what to do, and they calculate everything, those are a small segment of the society took control over the Persian country, and now they make and creating the rift between the Shiites and the Sunnis. However, I think very soon they're going to be end to it. The civil society of the Iran is going to come and govern, and because the Persians are not fanatic in religion, so they are going to change the Middle East, the landscape of the Middle East. They are going to pull away that conflict between Shiites and Sunnis, because in Iran is going to be, I think, a secular regime taking control, and they're not going to use Sharia, the Islamic Sharia law, as the product of the new constitution inside Iran. And it will start affecting the rest of the Middle East, the Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia, wherever there are Shiites, in Yemen, and Lebanon, and so on. But it's going to take years. Let's not fool ourselves. But let's go back to Lebanon. In Lebanon, you ask, what's are there going to be a civil war? No, there's not going to be a civil war. In Lebanon, what has to happen in the next few days, I think, Israel is launching a ground movement, and they want to destroy Hezbollah because the Lebanese government was given the chance multiple times, and they haven't done so. I think when Israel comes to up to the Litani River in South Lebanon, what's known as the Litani River, and militarily, Hezbollah will collapse south of Litani and a little bit north of Litani. And they might come a little bit from the Golan Heights on the northwestern part of the Bekaa Valley, where there are some pockets for Hezbollah in the Bekaa. And Israel will control everything kind of from there, from those areas. And then we have the American presence in the north of Jbal area in Hamad. And they kind of militarily, they control that area of the country. And then Israel should not
Okay.
pull out of Lebanon till Hezbollah and the Palestinians are completely disarmed and a peace treaty signed between Lebanon and Israel, and a defense agreement signed between United States and Lebanon to prevent any future terrorist pockets come and breed again inside Lebanon, because we have too many religions, as you said, 17, 18 groups of religions, so they find an opportunity. But when we have a peace with Israel and we have a defense agreement between Lebanon and Israel, then probably these terrorist organizations will not find an opportunity to start again in Lebanon under the flag or banner, we are gonna reclaim Jerusalem. And that's hopefully.
What moves are you doing? You just laid the foundational solution for all the problems in the Middle East. Israel should not. That means the President Trump should not either, right? What moves are you making in Washington, D.C. to make sure, not under any pressure? The church is against this move. Many of the Christian on one side are against this move. The Christian evangelicals who are supporting the president are being attacked, and I am cautioning as well that we do not want a new, some sort of a Christian militancy that is almost equally looked at religious Islamist terrorism, the same way we are complaining about the use of Islam in the hands of the mullah, in the hand of the Islamic revolution. So what are the practical moves? I want to benefit from the time with you to tell all of American people, it's early to react to President Trump, but do you think he's really considering negotiation? And is that going to make us repeat the same mistakes of 2006, of 1983, of 2000, of 2005, and then 2024? Would they finish the job?
No, I think this time the job is going to be finished, because President Trump this is the first time we have President Trump getting involved in the Middle East in wars like in Lebanon and everywhere. So therefore, Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu, he wants to finish the job. President Trump wants to finish the job. So we are talking with both sides that the minute Israel comes in, not to pull out till we have a peace treaty. That peace treaty, it's like a deed given between Lebanon and Israel, like the king of Tyre 3,000 years ago,
Ahiram.
made with
Yeah.
Ahiram, made with Israel to build the Temple of Solomon. So that relation exists for 3,000 years. So these guys now, the Hezbollah, these Islamists came to destroy that long-term relation, and we are going to regain that relation. Now, I monitor the economic market because everybody see there's a big cloud, dark cloud over Lebanon, over the Middle East. That's true. But you're going to go see what happened to the stock market yesterday in Israel. Yesterday, the stock market in Israel, while the missiles coming down, it was one of the best days stock market in Israel. While the Arab stock markets in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, they were closed. In Israel was the best day. Why? Because there are international confidence that this war is going toward benefit of Israel and United States. And that's why people have faith of the Jewish people and their economy and their progress. The stock market in New York did also very well. It was kind of flat because of the technology, the AI, what happened a couple of days earlier. But people thought when the war started, the price of oil is going to go through the roof. It went from 65, 67 to 75 on Sunday. On Monday, when the stock market opened, it was at 70. Today, it's around 70 or a little bit less. That means the international market understood this war is no match. Therefore, it's going to be, the end of it is coming soon, either in Iran or in Qatar or in Saudi Arabia or in Lebanon. It's going to be over within 20, 30 days for the benefit of the free will of the people, and the regime is going to be gone. And that cloud, dark cloud all over the Middle East, it will be gone, and sunshine is going to come out again soon.
My brothers and sisters, with every dialogue, with every conversation that we have with the special guest, especially today with Tom Harb, we have to follow it with a call to action that could make a difference in the lives of the people. So I pray you consider, before we show this video, about the work and the importance of the great impact that we leave in the life of people in situations of war, in the situations of displacement, in situations of being held captive despite their own will, under the sound of heavy bombs. That I hope you consider helping and assisting the mission of hope and mercy, as the situation in Lebanon and the Middle East is turning to be ugly and risky day after day. There are credible information that this situation in the Gulf countries continue to develop, and that the Gulf countries might end up entering into this war. This means, for Lebanon, for instance, 450,000 Lebanese people, companies, businessmen, employees, workers of different sorts, who actually were the backbone for the stability of the family economy in Lebanon, who work in the Gulf countries, may no longer in the next week or 4 weeks that President Trump is saying this war might end up being up to 5 weeks, be able to support their families, not in food, not in medicine, not in essentials, not even in mattresses or in things that are essential for their survival in Lebanon, because the war and potential invasion might spill over to Lebanon. Also, we are hearing that Hezbollah in Lebanon is retaliating. Hezbollah is attacking on Israeli targets, not only inside Israel, but also on US targets, on British targets, such as in places like Cyprus. The plan of the mission of hope and mercy is a humanitarian, is to assist the people who are on the ground, to basically try to purchase about 500 boxes of food. This means we have about 7 US tons of food that we need to purchase. The plan is to purchase also mattresses, to purchase emergency kits, to purchase pillows, to purchase 4,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 bottles of water if you allow us with your help, to purchase about 1,000 cover sheets. We need hygiene supplies. We need personal hygiene, especially for girls and for women. We need cleaning supplies. We need to buy medicine and vitamins over the counter, like for cold and for flu, because the season of winter in Lebanon is very tough, and there is high packed snow in the mountains and mid-range altitude of Lebanon, and there is a lot of wet rains actually and high winds that cover the cities. About 1.5 million people will be on the streets and are effectively on the street. 30,000 people already from few towns in South Lebanon are already displaced. You can Google the page and you can follow the humanitarian crisis in Lebanon. Mission of Hope and Mercy and Father Andre urge you, and we look to you for help and for assistance. I am very grateful to Untamed Studios, for Joe Altman. I am very grateful to also to all the friends who have assisted us in our call, in our appeal, to launch this appeal. So let us now watch this video about the work of the Mission of Hope and Mercy and how you as well can make a difference. Go to our website, missionofhopeandmercy.org, and assist us to be able to give a first response to fulfill our duties and obligations for the love of God, the love of the neighbor during the season of great land, to assist the people in Lebanon to be able to survive amidst this war on corruption and terror. Let us watch the video together.
بدنا نحن من كل قلبنا نتشكركم على الدعم المعنوي أول شيء، والمادي يلي بيكمل. بنشكرك على الأكيد يلي استقبلنا بكل محبة، مش هيك داخلين بروح الكنيسة. كنت غريبا فأويتموني.
وبالشكر تكون نعم. وحضرتكم انتم كذا مرة عم تساعدونا وصرتوا من العائلة حقيقة. أكيد وعم توقفوا حتى جمعيات، مش بس في أم النور، أكيد في جمعيات عندكم عيال وإلى آخره. يعني مش من زمان ساعدت لنا الفريق، وهلا عم نساعد المؤسسة. أنا باسمي وباسم الفريق بقول لك أبونا عن جد بهديك على فريقك.
Reverend Founding Father Andre Mahanna, the campaigns launched by you for 3 years and carried out with your superb team have allowed us to get a little closer to our following objectives. Your support has strengthened our teachers. We would never have gotten there without you.
لحد ما وصلت حضرتك بير أندري حققت لي حلمي. سنتين ورا بعضهم كنا عم نحط حد الكريسماس تري هدايا لكل ولد، وقد ما قال لك ميرسي قليل. وبالإضافة للهدايا للولاد كمان كنت عم تعطينا بوكس مليان كنا عم نعطيه لكل فرد من أفراد الهيئة التعليمية واللي عددهم 37 كمان لمدة سنتين بير أندري. وأنا بشكرك كتير
بير أندري، شكرا من القلب. نحن بنشكرك كتير كتير على كادويات نويل. مرسي على كل شي بير أندري. 177 تلميذ مع 35 كادو للهيئة التعليمية. نحن بنقول لك مرسي على كل شي.
مين ما كان، شو ما كان، لبناني سوري فلسطيني أو حيلا جنسية أسود أبيض، مين ما كان بيقدر يفوت، بيقدر ياكل، بيقدر ياخد معه على بيته.
I know under the pressure of the incidents and these events happening in the Middle East, I still have to say, I hope you liked this video of the Mission of Hope and Mercy. As we go back to our studio, to our conversation with Tom Harb, remember that the cost of this war is high. And now with Tom, we will continue to transmit to you and to share with you the information of why it is important that even though we are going into a potential war or an operation. People may disagree on what to call it. But the important thing that in our conversation with Tom, we will show why it is important that while we are fighting against corruption, this war or this operation has a just cause. But to make it more a just cause, your action and my action in our spiritual level, in our prayer, in our solidarity with the persecuted people and the persecuted Christians in the Middle East, it is important that we help and we assist in our charity work to respond to all emergencies that are on the ground. And now, Tom, I am back with you. I want to thank you. And let's continue with our conversation together for the sake of enlightening the minds and the conscience of the people on how to understand better what is coming next and why it is important that we as Americans this time realize that we are trying to make a difference to a point of no return, to a world that was not in harmony, to a world that was growing in corruption, to a world that was actually a major threat to the peace process, not only for the Middle East, but for us as Americans and for all the nations of the world. We continue with you. Avichai Adrei, which you know probably very well and you follow mostly his news because he's a general on behalf of the Israeli army, said, this is not only a military war. We have to unmask Hezbollah's main funding networks and those involved. So I have a few questions to ask you in regard to what he is saying. One, the terrorist organization Hezbollah and its Iranian partners are exploiting Lebanon's severe economic and humanitarian crisis for their personal gain and to increase financial resources for the terrorist organization. Could you comment on that very quickly, Tom?
I mean, I don't know him. I have heard of him. I see him on TV a lot.
Yeah, we see him on the social media, correct. That's what I meant.
And sending advance messages when Israel is going to hit in Lebanon. So the Hezbollah, the Iran product in Lebanon, when they were established in 1983, their main goal is to establish a Shiite state in Lebanon, to kick out the Christians from Lebanon. That was their main goal to do.
But half of the Christians in Lebanon who support Hezbollah and Iran, including, unfortunately, Christian leaders, church leaders, they went east and they say this is a plan actually of America and of Israel. How do you fight these conspiracies, Tom?
This conspiracy comes from a long time that you need to unite minorities, Christians, Alawite, Shiites, and so on, which probably it's a true theory against the Sunnis. However, you do not go and side with a radical Islamist, a terrorist organization who bombed the American Marines in Lebanon or who killed so many Christian leaders to make sure the Christian spirit and the Christian strength does not stay in Lebanon. And then they conspired with some traitors among the Christian communities. You're always going to find traitors. Jesus had 12 disciples. One of them turned out to be traitors. So to find a traitor among the Christian leadership in Lebanon, that's easy to find. So, but that theory is wrong. That theory is dead. That theory is gone. Michel Aoun, who made an agreement with Hezbollah, and he later on he became the president of Lebanon. He destroyed Lebanon. He destroyed the Christians, the Christianity in Lebanon. Him and his son-in-law and his supporters, because of what he has done, because he gave him a life support to Hezbollah for another 15 years, and that was wrong from him. Now, at the end of the day, these guys, I think after the collapse of the regime in Iran, the funds, they're going to be stopped from Iran, and the United States is following any other funders for their programs, either in Africa or through drug trafficking in South America. They used to have the biggest drug trafficking through Venezuela. Now that is stopped as well. So they're being choked. Hezbollah being choked, and some free Shiites now popping up inside Lebanon. Some tribal Shiites in Baalbek, El Hermel area yesterday, they said enough is enough with Hezbollah. We want to stay away from Hezbollah. So I think the opportunity is ripe now to get rid of them completely.
How do you contain the Iranian dormant cells that the FBI, the American administration, Israel is warning about? And Avichai Adrei said the Iranian Quds Force funds Hezbollah through funding networks that transfer money from third-party arenas, such as Turkey and Iraq. And you and me, we know we met with investigators who they speak that they have credible information about a huge network that goes from South America. You mentioned it a little bit. We don't have enough time. I would love to have you again. I'm sure Joe here in the studio as well, the owner of Untamed World as well. He would love to have you most likely to speak about this more in depth. But there is a worldwide network. And unfortunately, we see that there are Christian forces involved in it, and this is what Avichai Adrei is trying to say. There are NGOs in Lebanon that they are actually helping the money of Hezbollah to move. People in the United States do not know the depth of the involvement of Iran, Iranian proxies, and Hezbollah, and that Lebanon is unfortunately a state capital for financial moving going on. But we know as Christian Lebanese and as Muslim Lebanese that our own personal private accounts, whoever in Lebanon had private accounts, were seized in October of 2019. And this president today in Lebanon and the prime minister, the cabinet, none of them returned that money. Where is that money? And to what extent what Avichai Adrei is saying in this regard is still effective in the Lebanese life of the people today? Will their money return?
During the presence of Hezbollah all this time, any injured Hezbollah, they were treated at the hospitals at the expense of the Lebanese people. They have now big percentage of people on the government payroll. They don't show up to the job. There are so many dead people. They are on the payroll of the government. So the corruption within the Lebanese government, due to Hezbollah pressure, they siphoned a lot of money from the Treasury Department in Lebanon into Hezbollah, and that's why the government ran out of money. And they ran out of money. Nobody knows what happened to it, but everybody knows because that's the corruption. And even now, after United States the other day gave Lebanon $150 million, and what the Lebanese government did? They said they sent it to South Lebanon, where Hezbollah is. And the people who Israel exploded what we known the pagers, when the pagers exploded. The Hezbollah was very instrumental with the Lebanese government to put all of these 5,000 people on disability in the government, so they could get all the treatment from the government and some welfare from the government. And that's the corruption itself and the influence of Hezbollah yet. But those should be penalized. The Lebanese government should issue a request through the International Court to make Iran pays for all the damage the last 30, 40 years did in Lebanon. And if the Lebanese government does not do it, shame on the Lebanese government. It has not done it. Shame of the new parliament whenever they have an election, they do not request or submit a bill to the parliament in Lebanon. The Lebanese people must take the matter into their own hand to reclaim from the Iranian, whoever the new Iranian government, but they have oil, so they could pay over 10 years the damage Hezbollah done in Lebanon, rather go to United States or Arab nations beg for money.
You are generous with your time. I wanna conclude with the short questions, worries about Lebanon, concerns about Lebanon, to also conclude to ask people support the work of good nonprofits in the United States who are really trying to provide, like the Mission of Hope and Mercy. We're trying to provide the blankets. We're trying to provide mattresses, food, first aid kits, basically, hygiene supplies, medicine over the counter. Because up till now, 112 towns and villages in Lebanon are being asked to move. There seemed to be an internal displacement from the south of Lebanon, from Beirut, from the Bekaa, and it seems now in Mount Lebanon, including in areas that we never thought about, the historical city of Jbeil, whether the mountains of Jbeil or the city of Jbeil, we do not know. Things are not sure where we are heading. This means that about 1.5 million of people in Lebanon, between the next 24 hours or 48 hours, or if an invasion is potentially true, and with the dormant cells of Hezbollah and the potential response, on top of them, we have about 350,000 Palestinians inside Lebanon. We do not know how many of them are on the side of Hamas still. We do not know how the Lebanese army has a plan, or the Lebanese government has a plan to contain this displacement done. So to finish, and please take your time, we will finish with your response. How do you recommend the American people act to assist us? Is President Trump aware of the huge humanitarian crisis that might face Lebanon the same way violence faced the Iranian people, who up till now, they're not daring to stand up on their streets? Is the American administration aware of the humanitarian cost?
Yeah, I'm sure they are, and probably should be some help. But before, I would ask the Lebanese government and the people, the municipalities into the Christian area or other sect area, not to allow a single refugee as of today till Hezbollah disarm. When Hezbollah disarm, allow them. If they do not disarm, do not allow. Block them in their own areas till they learn the lesson. If they do not put pressure on their own people, on their own leadership, they are going to keep doing it. They've been doing it for years. Anytime Israel comes and hits, they keep flooding, and they come to the Christians area, to the Sunnis area, and the people welcome them under a humanitarian. Enough is enough. They need to be blocked. They need to be forced to be at a certain place till Hezbollah agrees with the Lebanese government and give up their weapons. Because after tomorrow, if the Hezbollah does not disarm, gonna do the sign and say we are victorious. Enough is enough is enough. The hell with them. They need to be blocked till Hezbollah disarm.
That's courageous of you, Tom. The Vatican, Pope Leo, the Maronite Patriarchate, Catholic Charities, the Conference of Catholic Bishops, I had a lot of suffering in this field, but they're speaking totally the opposite language to this. Will President Trump be able to talk to the Pope and make him understand that...
Well, the Pope is wrong. The Pope is wrong, completely is wrong. Iran is changing the demography in Lebanon. The Pope went to Lebanon and plead for coexisting when the others willing to let you live in your place. Hezbollah been for the last 20, 30 years driving the Christians out of Lebanon. So I don't want to hear it from the Pope or any patriarch or anybody. Enough is enough. The people, when people start losing faith with their clergies because of a statement from the patriarch or a statement from the Pope. With all due respect for the Pope position, but I had enough with the new Pope, and I appreciate his visit to Lebanon, but his message was forgotten the next day because he did not make something material to stick with the Christians of Lebanon. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Ritam. May God bless you. My brothers and sisters and my friends with Irrevocable, remember, and we will have Mr. Tom Harb again with us on this show. We will conclude with a beautiful hymn that was written in 1904 to Our Lady, the Queen of Peace, Queen of the Immaculate Conception in Lebanon, who protects the mountain of Lebanon, to whom the whole East is consecrated. We will conclude with the intercession of Our Lady, the Virgin Mary, that is the Queen of the Gulf. Remember, in the Sunni world, for the very first time in 2016, 2017, a church between Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, on the Gulf gate of the Arab Gulf was erected actually to put under her intercession the entire Gulf countries and the entire Far East area, including the Persian lands. Remember that as we conclude, please, this fight is against corruption. The human cost is very high. The United States took a very, very, very big risk. But as Tom is saying, probably is advocating that at this point, at this time, people in America also are sacrificing the president is most likely sacrificing, seeing that the potential danger is far more grave and bigger than the actual negotiation terms if we do succeed to change the status quo, because this corruption might end up costing us more so nuclear danger than what's happening today, and for the people are worried. We're not advocating for war. We are advocating for true solutions in the Middle East that will end up ending the killing, ending up using religion as a terrorism, ending up, speaking language of anti-Semitism, ending up militarizing Islam. And the Muslim world has also the right to live in prosperity, in faith, in freedom, in family, and to grow potentially in a religion that adores and admires God, the God of love, the God of redemption, not the God of war and the God of hate. With all of these, I ask you to please, Tom, how can people visit your website? Where do people follow you? If you give them your X page, and how can people get in touch with you? And I will give them as well our website for the Mission of Hope and Mercy.
Our organization is called American Middle East Coalition for Democracy, AMCD.com, and you'll find it, American Middle East Coalition for Democracy. And I am at on Twitter, on X, I'm at Harb, Harb Tom. So hopefully you could follow me there as well. And thank you, Father Andre, on this time. And thanks for all.
Thank you, Tom. And missionofhopeandmercy.org. May God bless us all, protect us from all evil, forgive us our sins, and bring us all to everlasting life. God bless you and have a wonderful day.
Si stanno formando sulle nostre teste e nostre anime. Ecco la Vergine che fino ad oggi ha protetto questa sacra